I hear a lot of people talk about civil rights. Can you define for me what is the civil rights? I never really, and it may be because I'm black and slow, but I never really understood that. What is civil rights? What are civil rights?
I think it is defined by having the rights, civil rights, meaning the right to vote, the right to assemble, to do all the things that American creed says you're supposed to: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You want the freedom to do what everybody does.
All right.
That's a civil rights. And the very fact that we had to have a civil rights law passed because we were denied those civil rights. You couldn't assemble where you wanted to. You couldn't vote where you wanted to. You were denied all the civil rights that were given to you by the Constitution. And so I think that the civil rights movement rightfully fought for those. I know I did.
Right.
But I didn't fight to be treated special.
Yes.
I think we crossed the line, and when we're talking about we want to be treated special, so I think civil rights, and we wanted equal opportunity.
Yeah.
And,
right.
and so that's where I think that I parted company with the civil rights movement on that very point of definition. When they went from civil rights to affirmative action, we want to blame white folks for everything. I think there needs to be a 2-year moratorium on whining about white folks.
I agree. That would definitely help.
Yeah.
I got to ask this. I noticed that blacks, not all but most, are very angry today. Whereas when I was growing up, I don't remember seeing that type of anger in black people. Where did that come from?
Well, if you're talking about these people who are screaming on these talk shows, I think it's fake anger. I think the more privileged a black person is, in many cases, the more angry they have to appear. Because anger, public expressions of anger, become a substitute for assertive action to improve conditions. And I think all of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton getting off a private jet, his organization spent $1 million in private jet travel to go to protest American capitalism.
Yeah.
Stepping out in a $1,000 suit, smoking a $25 cigar, stepping out of a Learjet saying how bad America is.
What a mess.
See, that's the anger coming from a person like that.
Yeah.
It can be just totally discounted.
But I also see anger in a lot of young black people as well. You know, you see it where they go off on you just like that. It doesn't take anything. They hurt one another. They kill each other. They fight with each other. I didn't see that growing up. And these young people that's so angry, is that due to not having fathers in the home?
There are multiple reasons why people are going through it, but different groups are suffering. I said that the reason that we must become post-racial and put race aside, because a recent Harvard study found that the leading cause of death for young people, for blacks, it's homicide. For Appalachian or low-income whites, it's prescription drugs. And for upper income Silicon Valley communities, it's suicide. Suicide among Silicon Valley teenagers is 6 times the national average. 6 times.
Amazing.
So there's a hole in the heart of our young people where they devalue their life. If you devalue your life, you will take yours, someone else's, or you'll take your own. So we need to to find out why this hole is in the hearts of our children. But we'll never get there if we first have to confront each other on issues of race. We don't have a race problem. We have a grace problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm fighting for us to change.
This month, I believe it's this month is Black History Month. What do you think about Black History Month? Yeah.
I wish it was every week instead of a month. But I'll take what they give us. But I think it's an opportunity to spend every day talking about the triumphs in the face of despair. How blacks triumphed, how when we were denied access to hotels, we built our own.
Yeah.
When they denied access, did you know we had our own railroad in that formed in 1868 in Baltimore, and that successfully ran from Baltimore to Maine?
I did not know that. So there was a black built railroad?
Their own railroad. Yeah.
What the?
1,000 blacks were fired from this railroad company for striking. And so they were fired. So they borrowed $10,000 from the local burial society in the churches. And they bought and operated successfully a railroad that operated from Baltimore to Maine for 18 years. And they even hired whites in the railroad. So these are the kinds of things that our young people need to be studying. How is it capitalized? How do we run it?
Yeah.
And so part of what we're offering at the Woodson Center in our 2 publications is that we have talked about all kinds of people who were born slaves who died millionaires.
Yeah. But Bob, those are not the things that they are teaching blacks during Black History. If they're going to teach, they should teach. I've never heard about a black railroad that was built by black people.
And run by black people, and they hired white people at the time.
Wow. I've not heard that before.
Yes, sir.
See, this is the type of stuff that the blacks need to be hearing because it's encouraging, not putting them down thinking they can't make it because of their color.
Right. When these middle-class liberals keep saying to the young black and white people that all whites are villains and all blacks are victims, maybe these kids are saying to themselves, maybe we're being accused because we're not worthy.
Yeah.
Maybe what they're saying about us is true. And so maybe that's why some of the despair is setting into the lives of these kids, which is causing them to feel that they are not worth very much. That's why I think that cause of some of these problems are coming from so-called liberal activists who are teaching people to be fragile and vulnerable.
That's amazing. That's unfortunate too, man, because I know I work with and talk to a lot of young black men and women. They just feel lost and they think that it's because of someone else, meaning that they think it's because of the white man. And I'm like, it's not true. It's not true. You need to take control of your own life and do what you want to do. Just do it and don't think that someone can hold you back, because if you're not thinking that way, you cannot be held back, whatever that's supposed to mean.
No, I say that it's worse to be telling somebody. There are 2 ways to prevent someone from competing. One is to deny them by law, the way we did in Jim Crow. The other one is tell them you don't have to compete.
Yeah.
Because you're black, you can sit at the gambling table and whites are required to give you a winning hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they don't give you a winning hand, they're racist.
Amazing. When I was growing up, I never thought that I couldn't make it in life. I just didn't think that way at all because I wasn't raised that way. And my grandparents raised me, and they told me at 18, you're out of here. And I was down in Alabama. And I'm like, well, where am I going? I'm in Alabama on a plantation, right? They said, I don't know, and I don't care. You're out of here. And when I turned 18, I finished high school, and I went to Indiana. I got me a job because I wanted to move to California. I got me a job, and I worked for 2 weeks. I bought an airline ticket for $50. I moved to LA, and I made some horrible mistakes along the way because I didn't know. I was young, but I never thought that someone could hold me back. I had different jobs, but I did what I wanted to do. I bought a house when I wanted to, bought a car when I wanted to, I dated when I wanted to, And I only thought for 1 minute, I started listening to Jesse Jackson and all those guys when I moved here to LA at 18. And they were saying that the white man was holding you back. You can't make it because of white people. And I was young. And I remember I became angry at my white bosses. And in my mind, I thought they were trying to hold me back. I realized it wasn't true. But I never thought that someone could hold me back in life. I didn't even know how someone can hold you back if you want to do what you wanted to do. It just was not in my thinking.
Well, I'm a little older than you, and I can tell you the same thing, that I didn't grow up believing that my destiny was determined what somebody else did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always believed that I wasn't the brightest bulb, but I outwork anybody.
That's right. That's right, man. There were 18 in my class. I was number 18. And I wasn't the smartest guy, but I knew how to work. I knew how to pay my bills. I knew how to do all that. And they always told me, as long as you can work with your hands, you're going to always have food on your table. So I've never gone hungry.
Yeah, when I got out and needed a job and I didn't have car fare, I walked 60 blocks.
Yeah.
And borrowed some money from somebody on my job so I could get home.
Amazing.
So I struggled.
So, Bob, because of time here, I was under the impression that you were conservative, but I read the other day that you're independent.
Yeah, I really do, because I think that I have not been happy with what conservatives have done all the time either. In other words, I'm conservative in the sense that my strategic interest is served by conservatives. Conservatives don't have any proprietary interest in me being poor.
Yeah.
So strategically, I feel more comfortable with conservatives than I am people who patronize me. And so I worked for the American Enterprise Institute for 5 years. And what I found refreshing about when I met a white conservative is that they were willing to argue with me.
Nice.
White liberals do not argue with blacks.
Nope.
No matter what stupid position you take, they will never challenge you. And I met Peter Berger and some of the white conservatives, James Q. Wilson. It was the first time I debated with a white person on issues of policy. And it was refreshing to have someone debate me and say, you're wrong about this. And I felt respected.
Yeah.
In a way that I never felt respected from white liberals who smile and tell you, oh, you're the greatest thing since, sliced bread.
Yeah.
And then go behind your back and vote against you.
Yes. Amazing. Did you ever meet Walter Williams?
Walter was a good friend from Philly.
Amazing.
We're both from Philly. I was born and raised in West Philly, and he was in North Philly. So, yeah, but I knew Walter. He was one of the first black conservatives I met when I came to D.C.
Man, I remember when I first started my organization, he was one of the first speakers I had to come and speak to the people. And then he joined my board. He became a board member of my organization. And it was an honor to know him and work with him and talk to him. I learned so much.
Yeah, Walter's very smart. I told him all the time. Jay Parker, too.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that a lot of black people didn't get a chance to know him either. The so-called black leadership made him look like an Uncle Tom, whatever they call Uncle Tom, a sellout. So a lot of blacks lost the opportunity to learn from him.
No, you're right, but I still quote him. He talked about at the turn of the century, there were 5 high schools, black high schools, one in New York, Baltimore, Washington, Atlanta, and New Orleans. They had crumbling buildings, used textbooks, half the budgets of white schools, and every one of them out-tested the white schools in their cities. And so if we were able to achieve in the face of those circumstances, why can't we do it today?